Hey guys, it's Mike from Shamino's workshop. Here's our latest commission. This is a Fourzze Count. This is Count Dooku's hilt from episode 2 of Attack of the Clones. Also used briefly in Revenge of the Sith. This was a pure labor of love. This is a great saber. The design. This is like I said, this is a saber forge. I also have an Ultimate Works Dooku, which is a lot. The profile is slimmer. It's smaller. It's slimmer. I really should grab it and do a comparison. Maybe I'll do a separate video comparing the two. But this is nice. This actually fits well in the hand. It as I said, it's larger, but it's comfortable. Maybe a little too large for my liking, but you know, to each their own. This commission came to me in a repair upgrade fashion. The Saberforge electronics stopped working, so the commission was to, you know, gut it, upgrade it, put Proffie NeoPixel. The challenge, though, as we learned, was Saberforge likes to glue their stuff together. Right or wrong, good or bad, that's what they did. And man, was it a challenge to unbreak that glue seal. And in doing it, we damaged the saber. We damaged the elbow. This saber comes apart in pieces, essentially here at the elbow, and then here at this pommel. And the pommel cap itself. So it comes apart in pieces, and glue, not thread lock, not locked tight, glue sealed this elbow to this upper half, and I used every tool I had to try to break that seal, heating it up, steel rods through the screw hole here to see if I could twist, all sorts of tools. In the end, vise, heat did the trick, but the vise scratched the elbow. And, you know, I worked with Saberforge, and for those who have worked with Saberforge in the past, there's no phone number. Their customer service is email, and you send an email, and maybe a week later you get a reply. And then you reply, and a week later maybe you get a reply. It went on for months. Simply ask them for, now this is probably 3 or 4 months ago. Simply ask them for a replacement elbow. Sure, no problem. The one that we sell, the ASP, I think APS, ASP, whatever their active saber parts, I don't know. Ordered after confirming with Saberforge that it would work, that it would fit. We get it. Damaged part. Original elbow. And as you can see, if we get in there close, we can see the damage caused by the vice grips on both sides. Damaged section. Replacement section. Sure, it's chrome. Let me put this down. You know, it's different. It's larger. It's chrome, not chrome, but we were okay with those differences. As long as it worked. It was the only option I had. The front, the male threads are, you know, are the same, at least the same dimension. It fit in was the point. The problem is the back end. Much different. Somewhere near 1 inch, 3/4. Doesn't work. Couldn't use it. Wasted $50 in months. Months. I waited months for them to get this. Come to learn. Saberforge. They did their clearance. They sent, now this is what really aggravated me. The people that did the scratch and dent sales, they all got like a dozen elbows. the right elbow for the count. There's probably hundreds of elbows out in the community right now from everybody buying pounds of scratch and dent. Drove me crazy the fact that I waited, paid $50 for this and waited months, and SaberForge obviously has a ton of these that they could have sent me just one. You could have sent me just one. No. Very aggravating. So I'm thankful that you guys out there in the community, you know, paid your, what was it, $5 a pound and $25 for shipping to get 11 pounds of blade plugs and a dozen of elbows for the count. I don't recall seeing any other count parts, by the way, but you got plenty of count elbows. So I'm grateful I was able to buy 11 of them for a reasonable price. Thank you to the person that I bought them from. They're all in pretty good shape. I wouldn't say that there's any dents or scratches. The only issue was really the threads on them. Some of them wouldn't even thread, or they would thread and they would just be off orientation. So out of all of the 11, I found 3 winners that I wanted to use, and of the 3, this was the winner. It was the one that looked the best. It was the one that lined the best, and then I used timing. You know, I had bought these timing shims from SaberForge. These were the original ones that were included originally with the count, and then I bought these other ones assuming that I would need them. I didn't even use them. I was able to just reuse the original timing shims. But the timing shim was very helpful in aligning the elbow. So that was nice. All right, so my long rant is done. Months later, wasted time and energy and money for an elbow I couldn't use. We have finally finished it. And the nice thing about getting all of these extras, as you can see, we added an auxiliary button. So the count from SaberForge only comes with the main trigger button. So there's only one button. So we were able to, at least where the screws used to be, which were just cosmetic, I was able to add an auxiliary button and a recharge port, 2.1 recharge port. So it makes it easier to recharge, right, or turn the Saber off without having to take the pommel off each time. The nice thing on the SaberForge was this micro USB charge port. I probably could have figured out a way to get the recharge port in here, although I couldn't figure out how to remove this piece, and I did not want to damage this pommel because I can't get this replaced, and I'm certainly not going to try to deal with that. So long story short, we were and I couldn't use the CoverTech as the recharge port for a few different reasons I won't go into, but unlike the Ultimate Works, which does use the CoverTech for the recharge port, we ultimately landed here. So with that said, this has I think this one has the Custom Saber Shop PCB on top, converted blade plug that came with the count. So converted that through in a few pixel SpaceWindu pixel adapter. Battery up here, and then down here, custom designed chassis sled that holds the Proffieboard. And then obviously we got the recharge port, auxiliary, and I was able to make use of the existing trigger switch. So
I've become more powerful than any Jedi.
this is just a 28 mil flat speaker, not a bass speaker, and man, is it loud. Beautiful. Sounds great. TCS, Custom Saber Shop 28 mil flat speaker. The resonance chamber in this Pommel is amazing. So there's a number of fonts on here, a couple of Dooku based ones. Whoops. A couple of Dooku based fonts. I'll go through each font and I'll put a blade in there so we can see the blade styles. This first font, this is Fourzze, oldest Padawan, theatrical version.
Good.
And we can see up here.
Good. Good.
This is Proffieboard 1.5, the SA22 color change fork, the latest version. Or at the time that I finished installing it last week, I think this was 2.261 color change fork. There were a couple of, well, maybe I upgraded it to 2.9. I have to look. I'll throw it in the description along with, you know, the font list. I'll throw in the description too. So let's do. There's a couple of things. Let's take the pommel off first. I think it's this one. So there's a couple of brass screws down in the pommel, one on each side. I did have to replace these, the existing ones. Those I think were actually put in with some Loctite from Saber Forge. So one of them got stripped while I was trying to get it out. Thankfully I was able to get it out without damaging the pommel. But Custom Saber Shop to the rescue, they actually stock these screws. Originally I went to a local hardware store and just got some stainless steel ones. 8/32 I believe was, yeah, these are 8/32. But then I looked on Custom Saber Shop, they had them exact match to what Saber Forge used. So we got those, throw those in. This pommel comes off. And so this is where the old recharge port micro USB cable used to reside. I gutted that and just couldn't really figure out how to remove, or if it's even removable, this circular piece. Because again, it would have been really cool to put the recharge port there. That would have solved a lot of problems. But like I said, I didn't want to further try to damage anything. So, and maybe Danny, this is for you. I'm going to put the recharge. Where did I put the kill key? Yeah. I'll put the kill key in for that just in case. So here's our flat bass, our flat speaker. We can just, there's enough wire just to kind of push that to the side. And there's your Proffieboard. You have access to, so this does slide out. You can slide this out enough if you had to, but you shouldn't have to. You have perfect access to both the micro USB port to plug to a computer, as well as the SD card. Nice pair of tweezers, ESD safe tweezers, maybe get a plastic set of tweezers, and you can access the SD card, kill key when pulling the SD card out. When connecting to the computer, kill key out. You want the board powered by the battery when connecting to the computer. When taking the SD card out, you want the kill key in. You do not want board powered when the SD card is being removed. So real simple to access. 2 screws, remove the cap, get the speaker out of the way, and then reverse to put it back in. You'll see with the speaker here, there's sort of this black notch and the 2 wires where they're soldered. That, you know, align that. It seems to seat the best when this little black notch is centered So the black notch in the speaker, if we can see that, is centered in this groove. And that's it. It'll stick. It stays nice. No glue needed. And then you can just slip this back on, right? You use that little groove here for alignment. And then we can put the brass screws back in. I usually get both screws in, you know, just a couple of turns to get them started. And then just get them in all the way. I did retap these threads just to get them nice and cleaned up. And then once they're in, then, you know, just don't kill yourself over tightening these screws. There's no reason to. They're not going to undo themselves. And they don't need to be super snug or tight, because if you tighten them too much, you're going to strip them and then you won't get them out, and that'll be a problem. Okay, so we need blade retention. So these screws are just holding this claw on. One of them, I don't think it's the same. No, it's a smaller Allen for the blade retention screw. Let me make sure I have the right one here. Yep. So size down. Okay, so there's the blade plug with the SpaceWindu NeoPixel PCB. I believe there's 4 pixels on board. And then I 3D printed an extension just to make, you know, just to make it so that it fits properly and can contact, probably can't see in there, but pins from the custom Saber Shop PCB. So we can put that on the side. 1-inch blade. So I got my trusty demo blade, 12-inch, 42 pixels. And we can pop out the kill key.
I've become more powerful than any Jedi. Number 4. Number 4. I'm looking forward to this.
So this is in just the 2-button standard SA22 fork mode. So and it also has my battery monitor, voltage monitor, or low voltage detection system, I'll call it. If the battery gets to 3 volts and the Saber's on, it'll shut off. If the Saber's off, it'll play an audible warning every 15 seconds. That's your warning to charge your battery. Technically, you could go below 3 volts. I think the protection circuit on the battery is like 2.6 volts. But I think if you were to go less than 3 volts with a blade in, your speaker probably won't sound well. The pixels won't look as bright. So I thought 3 volts was a fair compromise. Let's charge it before it gets too low, or anywhere near that protection trip. Okay, sorry. So trigger. So low voltage or voltage readout. Just hold auxiliary down.
4.16 volts.
4.16 volts. So it's almost near full battery. Turn the Saber on is just a single press on the power. Force effect, double press.
I bring a warning.
Each font is a little different. Each font, you know, the force sound, or sometimes it's a quote, sometimes it's an effect like a choke or a force push. Each font maker does things a little different. but you can trigger that with a double. You can play music if you hold power down for 2 seconds. What I think that's only when the saber is off. So long press turns the saber off. 1, 2 second, plays music. Plays the music track if the font has one. 2 second press holds it, turns it off. So then with the saber on, right, our auxiliary is blaster, lockup,
I'm looking forward to this.
or drag.
Good.
Now you can also go next and previous presets. So previous would be holding the power button down until it changes. So that's actually the last preset, which is just your battery charging style. So you can see it's green, so that's a fully charged battery. And that will come down green, blue, orange, I think. Green, blue, red. Give you a visual indicator. To advance or go forward a preset is just a press on the auxiliary. So the oldest Padawan from Fourzze comes with a theatrical, which is the first font, and traditional, which is the second font. The difference is the quotes, or some of the effects. Fourzze has said going forward that every font he produces will have a theatrical and a traditional, because people have preferences. Some like theatrical, some don't. I get it, that's fine. I like theatrical, but I get the traditional point of view as well. That's fine. To each their own. This is the traditional. There's still force effect. There's still lockup. There's still clash. There's still drag. But you'll notice you haven't heard Dooku say anything. That's the difference between theatrical and traditional. So the next font?
It is obvious that this contest cannot be decided by our knowledge of the Force.
This is Jesse Kirkbride's Count's Claw. So just another Dooku font. Smooth swing. So if I had to guess, these sound quotes or clips are probably from Clone Wars, the animated series. I didn't listen to all of Jesse's, but I didn't get to trigger all of the force effects and all of the quotes and effects and blah blah blah. But what I have heard and encountered, that's from animated series. The next one is Jesse's Nightsister.
Don't insult me.
Ventress. Accent swings.
It looks like I'm here to rescue you. It looks like I'm here to rescue you. How unfortunate.
I was looking for a challenge.
Okay, the next one is Battle. This is also Jesse. And the next one is Jesse's Unstable. A Kylo Ren font. I'm so impressed at how loud this speaker is. It sounds amazing. Then we have a couple of for some reason my camera shut off. It wasn't low battery or anything, it just decided to shut off. So hopefully it didn't stop recording at a weird spot. I'll have to join these two video clips together. Before the camera shut off, I was just wrapping up the Jesse's Unstable font, which is a Coloran font, and I'm going to a fun font. This is from Repulse, Link, Brandon. In case you guys don't know Link from the past, a font maker from long ago, had many fonts, took a break from font making and has reestablished himself under the Repulse custom font brand. Has his own website where he sells his fonts. This font
The Butcher
is the Butcher. This is a Raven font. It has that nice static hum. Very cool. And then the last three fonts are Jesse's Ghostbusters fonts. Jesse's Ghostbuster font actually has three fonts: a Proton, a Slimer, and a Stasis. So we added all three. This is Proton. That's Blaster, Lockup. I don't think there's a drag effect on that. And the next one is Slimer. And the last one is Stasis. And then back to our battery. And back to the beginning. There we go. So, like I said, I guess to summarize, it's a great saber. Beautiful, well-constructed, very nice, cosmetically pleasing. This is definitely one of my favorite saber brands or saber designs. Sorry, phone was ringing there. If we didn't have to deal with this elbow, I wouldn't be so sour. but we did, and it's unfortunate that SaberForge couldn't help or be more helpful, and I had to resort to scratch and dent. Luck, really, it just came down to luck that the scratch and dent sale happened. And folks got lots of elbows, and so I was kind of flooded with options. So that was good. But any questions people have, about the saber, the install, the fonts, let me know. Leave a comment, send me a message. I'm currently not accepting SaberForge or Ultra Saber commissions because of this. I really, I really don't want to have to deal with gutting it and dealing with the repercussions of potential damage to these sabers. Maybe I'll rethink that in the future, or maybe if it's an empty and you know, the parts aren't glued together, I'll reconsider. But for right now, and as an unfortunate result of this, I've decided to just not touch them. But again, maybe I'll reconsider in the future. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. I didn't mean to rant too long or to make this depressing, but it is a beautiful saber. It did come out really nice. It sounds great. You know, even with the curviness of the hilt, we were able to, you know, use each section to hold various components, battery, in hilt, NeoPixel, Proffie, speaker, recharge port. We made it work, which was nice, which was fun, right? That my job of installing the saber, I want it to be fun. I want it to be, you know, a lesson or an education for me. I don't do this all the time, if at all. So I enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed being able to install it, with the exception of that. I really dreaded that. All right. Well, like I said, any questions, reach out to me. And like always, thanks for watching, guys.